let's go back over here. We were really, if you don't mind, let's listen to the Rambam. I see there's some other things going on down below, and maybe we could camp out here a little bit because I'd like to read it a second time too.
Yeah.
So, so he says, "Mavar Rambam, or Ramban rather, b'Torah Adat b'Bishar Hagomel, is that the neshamas were made in actual bodies." Now, I want to talk about this. Elashi is gaber koach haneshama ala guf. So we have to understand what does that mean. So he says, but there, look, he says, Hakadosh Baruch Hu osa lechem kanfayim v'hem shatin b'nei and now they're flying over the water. Rather than he's excluding dust or dirt, ground. Upirish hakanfayim the vicious hanefesh malachos. I think he means to say, and he said, but look at his malach. So that the nefesh, I don't know. I got the malachos in a female form, but the nefesh, let's say, is female. Let's say like that. And there is malachos, but it's malach. So the hakanfayim is a clothing for the nefesh that comes. My understanding come from the concept of the malach, which is a higher world. Says lavesh hagufimo, and then the haguf imo, the body will be clothed in it, in this levisha of the malachos. And so this, what does it do? This, it allows it not to become nullified because it's clothed in like protected by these wings of the malach. That's what it sounds like to me, a little bit like that. Is with this slavish a goofy moss of the is slavish with it. Is battle besoda yisoda, so that it's the malach allows it to be above, like flying. He said flying over the water, when all the other yisodos are destroyed. So I say all the other ones because Mayim is one of the yisodos, but he's flying over it. I don't know what that metaphor means exactly. So he says the after they come back to life. So they'll have an unending world. They'll be in a world that doesn't end. It will never go back to the concept of afar, which is, I don't know. I'm not really sure what afar, what they're trying to say here. What the idea of afar is, going back to the Malchusdik state where everything is at the bottom, I guess. Because the force that sustains the body will be the same one that is like the kiyuma nefesh. And so what is it that actually sustains the nefesh? Because of the yichud of the das elyon, and then that which is sustained then will be like the one that sustains. But because why? Because that's another way of saying that the receiver will become like the giver. The one that is received, and that's where I'm translating it. Like the one that gives. Because why? Because there's a yichud takes place. Woo! So even though they understand that there is going to be a destruction of the world, B'Shnas Shemitah, which is the Aleph Shvi, he said, and then he says, and that everybody holds this is true. But I guess the appearance of the body of the koach, the heroes, or the appearance of the koach of the nefesh alaguf is what happens. Guf ha'afa, which is dark. Badavka badas elyon, but this only takes place because of a connection of the nefesh, which is said before, to the das elyon. Inyan kirun pnei Moshe. So what do you want to say here? That what happened to Moshe? Moshe was able to connect to the das elyon, and a real connection. And as a result of that, that's what I think he's saying. Ka'inyan kirun pnei Moshe mifnei chama. Pnei chama. Like he's now shining like the sun. So he's saying the sun is what? The sun is Zeranpin. And Zeranpin in Penima, the Zeranpin is the Das, Adkan. Va'ain Sham Od Ba'orech, it goes into that more if we want to get over there. Rei Gam the El Sham, so look over there. V'zel Shonaki Kiyum Nefesh B'his Yachadech B'das Elyon. So he says it again. He says the Kiyum Nefesh is that Yichud that takes in the place of the Das Elyon Kiyum Amalachim Bo. Like he said, what? The same way that you have the Malachim Kakiyum Hamalachim Bo, that inside of him, or he's inside of them, I don't know which. He said Kakiyum Hamalachim Bo, the Kiyum Hamalachim in him. His alos hanefesh ala goof. So then you see that the nefesh now is going to become over the goof. Mevetelas hakochos hagufios, and as a result of that, it knocks out the kochos goofy. Okay, so now I know that there are pirushim on this, and so how much time do we have? We have 5 minutes. Let's see if I can read down. So you see there's a kof test on the 5th line. So this is interesting. So I'm going to read from Daled, with your permission, and then go down. Is a amnam option is bar the das of Rishonim. She'olam agashmi yachzru yichruvu kabshuto be'elef hashvi. So the simple meaning is that it's going to be destroyed. But even so, the world will not, the physical reality of this world will not be completely and totally eliminated. Because it will still remain in the world tzaddikim. They came back at the time of the Kiyas Amazing. Now that's a whole other story of what that means. And they will be sustained with bodies. They're going to have bodies. When they come back, they're going to have bodies. So let's look down now on number Kaf Test. To bring this down. No, that's the wrong one. This one. Okay, bring it down lower. Kaf Test. Yesh the sign comes. So what I want to point out here, he says, Ki Das Rambam. So that's where we were talking about. Zelda Shona. I want to bring that out. He says, Olam Haba Ein Bo Guf V'Gavia. There's no body. Ellen the Fashas and Tzaddikim Bilvad, but there's only going to be the Fashas and Tzaddikim Bilvad below Goof without a goof. That's a quote from the Rambam. Hilchos Shuvah. So because of the look of a Ramban, and the Ramban came and said like this, I know. He said what he says, a Rambam, Ya'amin be'emesh shetekiyas amazim shu iker be'ikar Torah, so that he said this is one of the really the ultimate ikar of the Torah, that there's going to be at the end of all things at the Kiyas Amazing. Hagabana babosha tashuv on nefesh the goof, that the kabana is that the nefesh should go back to the goof. In other words, it will be a goof. Baratz on the bara, and that's what the bara wants. V'yatzach on the neshamas mina olam haba, and the neshamas will come out of the world beyond. V'yashuvu the goof and they'll come back into the bodies. This is the pashtus of what we've heard. That's what we think is the ikar of ikrim. He said. Achrei came, but after that, Yigzah Rav Rambam. Then the Rambam says after that, Admisa al Hamashiach v'al Dora. Now that's very strong language, and I don't know what to say about it. But he says they're all going to die. He said, but what will be there? But the neshamas, the nefashos will be there. Batova olam haba below goof, and they have all the goodness of the next world without a body. We don't need a body. And so on this idea over here, this pattern that he said, that the Rambam said, I wouldn't mind reading it a second time. But he's al zera b'cholkul love rabim mechachmer adoros Elul. So we have just a couple of minutes. I'd like to read again this last part. I don't know where it starts. So he says that there's going to be a. Let's start where it says v'hine. It says v'hine harambam ya'amin be'emesh at the kiyas amesim shuhu ikar mi'ikari atorah kavonabo. Shatasha v'nefesh the goof v'ratzam the bore v'yatzach of the shambas min ha'olam haba. All of the shambas are going to come down. V'yeshuva the goof v'mei ha'tekiya. He said, "Aval achrei kain," but after that, Yigzich Rav, that is the Rambam says something else is going to happen, not the end of it. So he says, Amisa ala Moshiach Valdora. So all of those physical people, which are I guess he's saying parenthetically that the Mashiach is the one that leads this charge, so to speak, and but they were all, in other words, bringing us to the Chiyas Amazing, but they're going to die. And then they'll be then it'll be an ultimate joining of their nefashos only with the highest possible place, with Bina, let's say, but nobody. So there's the machloikis. Beam came the Fizen, Nimsech of the Chayra, Ki Rambam, Be'ela Bashvi, Ye Nefashos below Gufim. That's Pshat in the Rambam. Ray Gam B'Ha'aras L'Cholon B'Shem the Galia Mikta. So that's it. So we'll pick up. There's still more. So we'll pick that one up. I thank you very much for learning with me on this. Boy, this is really fantastic stuff.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Kol Tov.